YouTube, what's going on? My name is Kevin, the Tech Ninja, and today I'm reviewing a phone for you. This is the Alcatel IDOL3. Thinking about a career in tech, got an idea for a cool new app? Enter Full Sail University, who offers degree programs that address the needs for skilled tech professionals through curriculum that blends code and theory with real-world experience. Offered on campus and online are the mobile development and web design and development bachelor's degree programs, and the software development bachelor's degree program is offered on campus. All students have hands-on access to technology from day one. They receive a laptop computer at an institutional discount along with relevant software and tools. To learn more about Full Sail's web and technology programs, click on the link in the description box below. To give you guys a heads up how this thing works, this is a live review, so I'm not scripted. I have a few notes, and I'm just going to have a conversation with you and explain to you my experience with this phone thus far. All right, guys, the number one thing you should know about this phone is that it's $250 unlocked. So that means you can go to Alcatel's website right now and purchase the phone for $250. You're not tied to a contract or anything like that. So already out of the box, that is an amazing thing that is really hard to find nowadays. It also supports most LTE carriers. So when I tossed my T-Mobile SIM card in there, also my AT&T SIM card, I had no problems at all. I also did a speed test as well to ensure I'm getting the full capabilities of my carrier, and it worked just fine. Now, everything in regards to signal strength is pretty relative. If I had 4 bars in this phone may show 5 bars, but the same signal strength was the same. I did signal test and also speed test, and everything pretty much checked out. The IDOL3 is a matte plastic with chrome accents around the logo and also sides. Now, the back has sort of a metallic design, but it's still matte plastic. Now, a lot of times you may see like a glossy plastic. Well, the Alcatel is not using that, so it should be pretty good on fingerprints. And in my usage, I actually didn't have that many fingerprints on it, so that's really good to see. Now, the back is non-removable, so you can't change the battery or anything like that. And to access the SIM card and SD card, you actually just pop it in the side. The volume rocker's on the right-hand side towards the top, and the power button's on the left-hand side. Now, it took a little bit of adjustment for me to do because instead of hitting the power button, I was pressing the volume button because normally the power button's up there on a lot of devices. But, you know, that's a personal preference depending on which device you're using. You know, for me, I prefer on the right, but that doesn't make it wrong. It's just what I'm used to, is what phone I'm currently using. So no problems with that, the way the buttons are laid out. Now, what I like about the buttons as well, it has a nice press to it. It doesn't have that rattle that you hear with some budget phones where you shake the phone and it makes sort of a noise. Like, I'm not worried if I press the button too hard, it's gonna push itself into the casing of the phone, because I had that happen with a few phones before. So the buttons feel solid and everything feels pretty good. Now, the phone is reversible. Now, I didn't know what that meant directly, but what it means is that when you flip the phone over, the screen flips with it. And since there are dual front-facing speakers, everything's pretty much the same. The only thing that's different, obviously, is the front-facing camera, and the buttons are on the opposite side now. Now, the speakers were extremely clear. I compare it to a phone like the HTC M8 or the HTC M9 as far as sound quality. I mean, it sounds fantastic, and I can't get over that. The speaker gets extremely loud, music, gaming, everything sounds good. It has pretty decent lows for speakers on a phone, and the mids and highs aren't that bad where it starts to pierce your ears like some phones. And especially being front-facing, you can have it at a lower volume and still have good quality. A lot of other devices, if it's on the back of the phone, you need to crank the volume up because it's bouncing off a wall or it's cupping off your hand or anything like that. Since it's front-facing, volume low is okay, and it sounds really good. How well does it sound? Well, I'm gonna do my best to help you out. Here is the audio coming directly from the speaker.
Say I won't. Why y'all scared to be different? Say I won't. Why y'all scared to be different?
Now we compare it to the HTC M9. Here is the same audio coming from the speaker as well.
Say I won't. Why y'all scared to be different? Say I won't.
Now, the HTC M9 is an extremely expensive device. I mean, we're talking $700 at least. But the Alcatel IDOL3 is $250. So, I mean, you're getting great sound out of a budget device. So, just something to think about. Now, as you guys know, I'm not really big into specs right now. I'm not gonna read off the clock speed for you, but the IDOL3 is running a Snapdragon chip. Now, Snapdragon chip is a chip that you find in a lot of devices nowadays. Now, it's not the high-end Snapdragon, but it's one of the mid-level Snapdragons, and that means you're gonna get pretty good performance, very good battery life, and it's an overall solid performance. Now, everyday use, it runs fine. Anything I wanted to do on my device, I didn't have an issue doing it. You know, I can go between Twitter, go between Facebook, Instagram, Chrome, any newsreader, anything like that is just fine. Every once in a while, it slows down a bit where you press the recent applications button and it takes a few seconds to pop up. You know, you click between an application, it takes a second or so to do that. I mean, that reminds you quickly that you're not on the latest flagship, but for everyday usage, for my parents, for your parents, maybe you, it's not a big deal. And especially with $250, you know, you can't expect the latest and greatest chip in there, but they didn't go out and put the crappiest chip in it. It's a decent chip that gives you pretty good performance, and I'm not complaining at all. And also 2 gigabytes of RAM. And you actually can see 2 gigabytes of RAM on pretty recent devices. Pretty current phones will have 2 gigabytes of RAM. So Alcatel did a great job putting a decent amount of RAM in there as well. So that's why performance is pretty good on the phone. It doesn't have really bad specs. It has pretty decent specs, and you know, it holds its own. Now, it has 16 gigabytes of storage on board. Now, when I say 16 gigabytes of storage, I mean like how many files you can put on your device, how many games you can have installed, how many songs you have, all that stuff. That's storage. Now, when you get the device after everything's installed, you're looking at around 9 gigabytes of free memory. If that's not enough for you, Alcatel does allow you to put a SD card in there. So I tossed in a 64 gigabyte micro SD card, and I had no issues at all adding my storage, adding my music. You know, 16 gigabytes is enough for some people. If not, toss a $20 card in there and you're up and running. Now, as far as software, it does run a pretty much stock version of Android, which is extremely cool to see. The only difference is you'll see a couple things like folder animations and the icons look different. But beyond that, it is Android. It's good to see Lollipop on board. And you know, it's the latest version of Android, and hopefully Alcatel continues to get updates and we continue to have the latest version of Android on this device. The camera on board is a camera you'll find on some other flagship devices. What I mean by that is that it uses the same sensor as the OnePlus One and the Nexus 6. This camera is really good in good lighting, just like other cameras, and in lower lighting with contrast situations, HDR mode does a really great job. Here are some images that I took in HDR mode. Now, with HDR turned off, then you're gonna see some issues with dynamic range and things like that. And also inside low light situations, it wasn't the best camera at all. I mean, it took decent photos, but it's not one of those things where you're gonna have great low light imagery. It doesn't do that. But as far as outside normal pictures, HDR turned on, situations like this where it's sort of gloomy out, or you know, bright lights outside, looks really good, and I'm pretty impressed with it. Now, as far as the video on board is pretty simple. It looks decent, nothing to write home about. And like I said, this camera sensor is used in many other phones, so it's comparable to what you see on the OnePlus One and the Nexus 6. Battery life for me was comparable to most flagship devices right now, between 15 hours of moderate use with 3.5 to 4 hours of screen on time. Battery life is extremely subjective depending on how many apps you're running, which apps you're running, and all that stuff. But for me, it was fine, very passable. I'm not charging it at noon, or I'm not charging it after work. I mean, it lasts throughout the whole day, and that's pretty much now what you'd expect with most phones nowadays anyways. A few pros that stuck out in my head that I want to share with you. Obviously, first of all, the price, $250. You really can't go wrong, especially if you want to get out of contract. You know, a lot of these companies put you under contracts and you're stuck under these contracts. Well, for $250, you buy this phone and go to AT&T pay-as-you-go, go to T-Mobile, go to Straight Talk, whatever, and you then have a really good phone and you're paying less money per month. Can't go wrong. Another good thing is that the Snapdragon processor does a really great job with day-to-day usage. I'm a power user, and some of you may be as well, but for most people out there who's not a power user, they won't notice the difference, and it runs fine. It runs good. I mean, between applications, running games, doing this, doing that, whatever application in the Play Store you play, you can run it, not a problem at all. Now, 3D high intense gaming, okay, you'll get some slowdowns, you know, bouncing between multiple applications. Okay, it may lag here and there, but beyond that, the performance is really good. And also the build quality. I mean, you know, I've reviewed a lot of budget phones in my life, and this is built the best compared to any budget phone I've reviewed. It's even built better than the Nexus 5 in my opinion. I mean, the Nexus 5 was a budget phone as well, but if you guys know, it was cheaply made. You can literally pull it apart. This phone is solid. I mean, I'm not trying to bang it over a desk or anything like that, but it feels good in the hand, as I said. I mean, everything feels tight and it feels solid. Now, as far as the cons, the low light performance on the camera isn't the best. Also, the front-facing camera doesn't have great saturation, so you take a front-facing picture with the sun behind you or even the sun anywhere near you, the background is going to be washed out. And also, you take the camera with you into a restaurant, like a dimly lit restaurant, take a picture, you're not going to really enjoy the results. That's just what this sensitive camera sort of does. Overall, guys, to sum things up, the Alcatel IDOL3 is a fantastic phone. Price point aside, it's a good phone, runs most tasks, but once you include the price, it becomes an excellent phone. As always, guys, my name is Kevin the Tech Ninja. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more great videos, giveaways, and reviews. Take care, guys. Peace.